This conference will now be recorded.
Yesterday, we started S4HANA Financial Planning or SAC Integrated Financial Planning. Both are same. So S4HANA Financial Planning is tightly integrated with SAC Integrated Financial Planning. Don't think that I have given some other name here. S4HANA Financial Planning. So both are same. So in today's session, let's understand how to implement SAP Analytics Cloud Plan. What are the phases we have? Different phases in SAP Analytics Cloud, integrated financial planning, and each phase, what are the main tasks you are going to perform in each phase. That's what we are going to understand. Earlier in the sense 5 years or 10 years before. I'm talking about 10 years back. When we talk about a project implementation, so we talk about planning, mainly planning project implementation. So we used to talk about requirement gathering. So before that project preparation, all those will be there. And requirement gathering, blueprinting. So requirement gathering, we used to talk about what capex they need, what capex they need, what product cost planning they need. So there we used to collect. We used to conduct some workshops. Based on the workshops, we used to collect the data. Based on that, we used to prepare the to be blueprint. So how you are going to give the solution in the system, you are going to create the blueprint. Then realization, you are going to configure the system, whether that may be BPC or whatever. So then final preparation, then go live. So these were the phases earlier. Now SAP, since 3 4 years or 5 years, SAP promoting this SAP Analytics Cloud. For all the cloud solutions, the way we implement, right, the process is different. So the methodology changed. So what is the methodology we are using now? Mainly three phases in any SAP Analytics Cloud Planning implementation, or not only Analytics Cloud. It may be SAC Planning or SAC Analytics or any other system, right? So data sphere or whatever. So mainly three phases in SAC Planning. First, preparation phase. Any product preparation phase first. In the preparation phase, we are going to set up the models of whatever dimensions we need based on the business requirements, right? So in the preparation phase, how can you set up the model without requirement gathering? How can you can set up the models and all those things? So the customer might say, like, they want integrated financial planning, right? So in the preparation phase, you are going to install SAP delivered content, and you are going to go through that SAP delivered models. And also you are going to discuss with the customer. So you are going to give some demos on the installed content, and you are going to create more objects based on the business requirements. So the modeling part is part of this preparation. Then planning phase. In the planning phase, we are going to provide some input templates to the customer. So I'm talking about this blue area, right? So we are going to give some predictive techniques, forecasting techniques, and we are going to integrate predictive analysis in the sense actual plan variance reports and all this stuff. So this is the second phase we are going to talk about. The third one is finalization, right? Finalization is, I need some workflow, I need some calendar activities. So this activity should be performed on this particular date, due dates. So everyone should be given some targets, and the target should be achieved in particular date. So that finalization should be part of in the product, part of the product. So that is finalization. These are the main three phases we are going to follow. So in the preparation phase, for example, now I'm going to talk about the preparation phase. So the preparation phase is, see the name they have given here, planning modeler. So what you are going to do in the preparation phase, in the analytics cloud, you have the content. So this content, you have business content. This business content you are going to install. So the business content SAP delivered Even industry specific business content is delivered. Industry specific business content. And you can see oil and gas and SAP mill products, some sales analysis for S4 HANA, quality management. So how many 3 pages you can see. And also you have financial planning, you have integrated financial planning. So you have integrated financial planning. If you search integrated, you can see integrated financial planning. And also IBP, you can see the content for IBP, integrated business planning. Integrated business planning, one of the planning scenario is sales and S&OP. It's part of S&OP, sales and operation planning. It's a supply chain planning. And you can also see, for example, you have workforce planning. So workforce, you can see rapid workforce plan, success factors workforce planning, human experience management. So the project starts with the preparation. The preparation starts with the content installation according to your customer needs. So once the content is installed, right, and you can see all the planning models, whatever the planning models delivered by SAP, we are part of this content. So you can see SSA content. You can see here SSA content, whatever is delivered. So if all the versions, I mean models are available, dimensions are available. For example, if you want to check, if you know the naming convention, you can just say, for example, Apex model. I just written Apex, so you can see the model. This is the model symbol. So here you can see the planning models, the dimensions part of this particular model. When we talk about operational expenses model, so they delivered these many measures. Measures means key figures, and they delivered GL account, cost center, WBS element, partner cost center. The model is created. These are all dimensions. These are called dimensions, and a set of dimensions plus key figures called as model. So SAP delivered models. SAP delivered key figures also, and also they delivered the data sources. What are these data sources? The data sources from where you can get the actual data. If historical plan data is there, that also you can get it. See here, actual data and plan data. So this model can fetch data from CDS views of S4 HANA. These are the two CDS views from where actual and plan data can be loaded to this particular model. And there are calculations designed by SAP. So those data actions you can see here. And also SAP delivered some stories. This symbol is stories, all the stories, operational cost center expenses and all those things. And here you have in the planning. So once the basic model and dimensions SAP delivered. Now there are some concepts like, let's say, validation rules. Validation rules in the sense, if I the there is if I plan against the cost center. If you see this model, in this model you have cost center, profit center, company code, right? If you tell the customer that you have to select cost center, you have to select the profit center, you have to select the company code to in order to plan the data, then the customer say, why should I select all the three? There is a relationship between cost center, profit center, and company code, right? N number of cost center can be assigned to one profit center, n number of cost centers can be assigned to one company code. So if I will plan against the cost center, you should derive profit center and company code. So this is a business requirement. It's a common requirement. So at that time, you have to enable validation rules. Where can we enable? This is the standard content is not having that validation rules by default. So you have to go here and you have to activate that validation rules, and you have to define as per the customer requirement. So the dimension should have profit center and company code. So you have to read from the attributes. So here validation rules you can activate. If the customer want data audit, you can activate the data audit. And data locking. So the data locking is by default any SAP delivered model is not activated for the data locking. So that we have to enable the data locking to lock the data for the changes. We are going to understand these things. And also, SAP delivered some data actions for all the calculations. Your customer might have their own calculations. So those data actions you have to create as part of preparations. The new data actions, whatever new calculations they want. The customer might have some allocation processes, new allocation process. So SAP delivered some allocation process. However, the customer might say, I need two more accounts, amount should be allocated. So based on some square feet or say based on some kilowatt. So you need to add that allocation process also. And different data actions, you can put it under one multi action. You can put it under multi action. These data actions can be added to a multi action, and the multi action can be executed. So the multi actions are not delivered by SAP. So what I mean to say, content you can install, but content is not having 100% solution. On top of the content, you have to validate, you have to enable validation rules, you have to enable data locking, you have to create new data actions whatever customer required, you have to create allocation processes, and you have to create multi actions. And if you observe, some more concepts also you have to enable for this particular model in the preparation phase. Let's say you have stories and workbooks, right? Stories and workbooks where you do, for example, value driver trees, right? SAP not delivered any value driver trees. It's a concept for the driver based planning. And also you can create some planning tables, so some dynamic tables you can create. So those you have to include as part of this. And also these stories, whatever stories you have, right? So based on the stories, the responsible person can create some tasks. The task can be assigned to different people. You can schedule, so for example, import data, you want to schedule the import data, you want to schedule the multi actions, you want to schedule the data actions. So all these things part of your preparation phase. So you are defining a model with the missing functionality. So SAP delivered model and dimension, some stories, the basic thing they delivered, you have to add the flavor. That's the preparation phase. Then you have planning phase. In the planning phase, what the user will do, you have some stories. For example, whatever the stories you have developed. So for example, I will take it here. So I have a landing page. From this landing page, the user can open any of their operational expenses planning relevant content or product cost, sales and profitability planning, capital expenditure, financial statement planning. So here, what SAP did, they have given layouts for ad hoc planning. They have given, they added some data actions to run structured allocations or to run data actions. So whatever drive, so value driver trees you have created in the preparation phase, that will be executed by the business user. You created some stories or some multi actions that will be executed by business user here in this particular planning phase. So the planning phase basically for the business user. Preparation phase is for you, for the consultant. So the in the planning phase, the user is going to open whatever you developed. For example, operational expenses planning. So now they have to check their actuals, expenses, and allocations, right? Whatever you configure. So they can see the actuals, and they can uh, copy the actuals. They can plan the data. So these are all set up here. So now you can see here actuals, it will show. So actual layout. So here you can, this is the basic layout SAP delivered. They might need some more calculations here, and the expenses layout they will open, and the allocations they are going to run. So these are called data actions. Multiple data actions can be called in one multi action. And also, if whatever value driver trees you created, those will be executed by the business user. Then in the planning phase, you have something called calendar, right? So the calendar activities, whatever the user, there is a planning process. For example, operational expenses planning. First, actuals to be loaded, then actuals to be copied to the plan. Then you have to use some predictive techniques. So these you can put it under one planning process. You can give access to a particular user. So the driver based planning also happens in the by the that will be completed by this particular business user only. Even predictive planning will be used to 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 estimate that particular data. So what I mean to say, in the planning phase, the user can create private versions. Private versions in the sense you have something called version management here. When you go here, expenses, so you have tools, version management. So the user can create their own private versions, public versions. Once first private version, if he's okay, he will publish it as a public version. He can do that. And he can enter the planning data. So he can directly enter the planning data here, right? So you can just click and you can change the planning data, or he can also run some predictive techniques. Tools, you can see predictive forecast. So you can click on this predictive forecast. There are different forecasting techniques. They can run that forecasting technique so that system will propose that algorithm will propose this particular data. And also, if you want to add a comment, they can add a comment here, whatever comment they want. You have to enable that comment. So you can see table functions and here add comment. They can add those comments. So this is the second planning phase. In the finalization phase, what the user will do, you have configured some calendar activities. So calendar activities in the sense you have something called calendar here. More calendar. I'm not publishing. So in this calendar, you can add different tasks. Review task, general task means, so we can create a task. In the task we can link a story so that the responsible user can enter the data. Once the user enters the data, someone can review the task. So this general task, review task, composite task includes both general task and review task. So composite task includes submission data, approval data. And you can also create processes, like in BPC we used to call it as business process flow. That processes you can create. So operational expenses, one process. Product cost planning, one process. So these are not delivered by SAP, you have to create. So once you create these things, the end user, the planning reporter we call it as, he is going to the task based on the due dates are listed here. Each and every task is going to submit the data as per calendar task. Someone is going to, the responsible reviewer is going to review and approve the calendar task, and those data once approved it will be published, right? And then data locking. So once that published we can log the data, and if you want, the data can be exported to the other source systems. Right. So these are the main things in one particular planning project. So here, that's what I listed here. Three phases: preparation phase, planning phase, finalization phase. And the preparation phase, you are going to perform models and dimensions, validation rules you are going to set up, data locking, data actions, allocation processes, multi actions, all these activities will be performed. And in the planning, you are going to perform all these activities: creating private versions, entering data using planning tools, right? And you can share the content with the viewers. You can add comments and some detailed tools which we use for the which the business user is going to use for the planning are listed here. Then complete the planning process using the finalization phase, where calendar in the calendar you can add the calendar task, submit the data, review the data, publish the versions, set the data locking, and export planning data model data to any sources. Right. So these are the three pages. So when we start next weekend, we are going to start with the preparation phase. We are going to start with the preparation phase. We are going to understand dimensions, planning models. So how what is data locking, how to maintain data for dimension, how to maintain data for the model. These things we are going to create stories, right? So the basic things, validation rules, value driver trees. Yeah. So this is what our plan. We are starting from the next Saturday. Yeah, so next Saturday, same time only we are going to connect. Whomever is whomever interested for this particular course, just send an email to me so that I will send all the details, whatever you require. So now it's open for the questions. Any questions?
Kiran, do we need a separate license for this planning applications, or does it come with an SAC license?
Separate license you need. So BA license is separate. SAC analytics license one, standard license is another one, professional license is another one. So three types of licenses you have.
Okay, this comes under professional, right? Planning.
With the professional license, you can do the preparation and you can do planning and finalization. In the standard planning license, you can do only planning and finalization.
Okay.
Kiran, the dimensions you were showing, those standard
Hmm.
delivered dimensions, are they public dimensions? Can we reuse them in a custom model?
Yes, yes. So SAP, whatever dimensions they delivered as part of content, most of them, 99%, they delivered as public dimensions only.
Okay.
Hi, Kiran. Yeah.
Yeah,
You spoke of preparation phase, and you also discussed the requirement gathering with the client. Our initial step is to gather the requirement. So I wanted
correct,
to
correct.
ask, are you going to cover this thing? I mean, as a newbie, how are we going to gather the requirement with respect to the
Yeah, yeah.
planning? How to
So
identify
that is the
dimension,
main, correct, correct. So that's the
authorization
main
level.
object. That's the main object.
Right. So are you going to share some templates as well? Because I've seen some consultants, use the templates for filling in the authorizations or workflow, how the
Every
calendar.
project has their own templates, right? So I'm not going to share those templates. So after understanding this particular concept, you can only prepare the templates.
Okay.
If you are good in this particular product with hands-on, you can only prepare. So every project you have to prepare the template. I mean, once you create the template, so that can be used for the other project. So
So
I
you
can give you. So one thing I can tell. So
like
tomorrow,
sample.
after completing this lesson, you can create your own template. No need to depend on others.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, hi Kiran.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in prepare phase, like every time they install the business delivery content on every project, or is it like how it depends on the project, like how the prepare phase or planning phase starts?
See,
Like that's
if the
obviously.
whatever the scenario the customer says, if the for the scenario content is available, then we will go with the content installation. If the content is not available, you have to develop that.
Okay.
Kiran,
Hmm.
so quick question. Um, we have the data, right? We have all the input forms and all. Is
Hmm.
it going to be returned to the source system again? Because I believe this is coming from S4, or
That's what
uh,
export, right?
Yeah, yeah. Do we have to schedule it or does it go directly? If we save it here, does it go and sit in
No, no,
instead
no
of?
direct. So because it's an import model, I mean, it's
Okay.
a planning model, you have to schedule.
Okay, if we have to schedule the data to be okay. Okay.
Mm.
Okay, okay. So all these data actions and all, so we can create buttons and all for the users to, perform those, I believe. Okay, for
Correct.
example,
That's what. Yeah,
copy
yeah.
or
That's what
so.
we're.
Okay,
Mm.
can we also lock the versions?
Yeah, yeah. That's what data lock.
Okay, okay, okay. We automatically using data actions.
Yeah,
Data
using
actions.
data.
Okay,
No,
okay,
no.
okay.
Using calendar task, you can lock it. So that's the process.
Okay, okay. Using calendar
Okay.
tasks, you can lock it, not using data action. So if I want to copy something and then log the last 3 months data,
Then you
right?
have to use data locking concept. Yeah,
Yeah, through calendar task. Okay,
yeah,
okay, okay,
yeah.
okay.
So just any questions relevant to the content or the classes you can ask now. So subject relevant we can talk in the next weekend. Yeah,
Hi, Kiran.
And
Myself Sai
Kiran, one
yeah,
Kiran.
last one last question, Kiran. Regarding the
yeah.
content, right? Is it readily available, or we need to install based on our requirement?
It's readily available.
Okay.
Hi, Kiran.
I can one more
Yeah.
Hello.
question.
Right. Yep. Wait, wait.
Hello? Yeah, yeah. Is there any certification for this S/4HANA integrated planning, or is the same regular SAC planning? Is there any specific to this S/4HANA integrated planning certification?
So that is SSC planning certification only. Specific to integrated
Oh,
financial planning, there is no nothing like that.
okay, okay. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Hi,
So
Kiran.
we, yeah, yeah. Go ahead, go ahead.
Myself Sai Kiran. I am
Yes,
from SAP FIC consultant. It is useful
yeah,
for SAC planning or group
yes, yes.
reporting.
See, basically, when you are an FSEO consultant, as I said yesterday, you might
Uh,
have performed. So you are going to perform KP06, KP26 earlier, correct?
yeah, yeah.
Cost center
Input
planning,
planning and out.
all
Input
these things.
planning and outputs. Yeah.
Now SAP is not using that one. As an
Okay.
FSEO consultant, if you want to derive the standard cost estimate, right?
Uh-huh.
So whatever quantity
Uh,
structures you are creating, whatever routing you are creating, so all these things you can do it. And standard cost estimate, you now your people are performing in SAC.
okay.
Okay, so that is used for this planning. So everything moved to SAC. The front end becomes SAC now. For FSEO consultant, mainly they need this particular knowledge. Yeah. So now
And
I'm just
we have
stopping the
knowledge
recording.
in CDS views also, or need to require CDS
So
views.
CDS view knowledge is not mandatory, right? So you should know how to import data using the existing CDS views, right? You no need to understand how to create a CDS view.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. David, you were asking something?
I'm good, Krina. I'm good. I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. I'm stopping the recording.